morning.
Yes, good morning.
Can you please tell us your name and brief background about the organization?
Okay, my name is Makaya, and I am actually working with the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, which is more or less working for the government. And I am here in the capacity of one. The founder and CEO of an international non-governmental organization registered in the United States of America. And the name of that organization is Right to Development RD Incorporated. This organization is a 501c3 organization. Of course, I don't want to go into all of those dynamics, but I mean, today we have Google, you can Google that one. When we talk about 501c3, it's just like in Sierra Leone here, we talk about registration certificate, the team, and stuff like that. So that is the organization of which Sierra Leoneans, including myself, there is one Dr. Conte, who is in the state of Delaware. He's actually the pioneer. He's representing the organization out there. And then the lady you've just interviewed, Kisu Conte, is also a Sierra Leonean, but she's resident in Germany. And then we also have a honorary member who is actually resident in Canada, but she's actually a Canadian, but she's also giving helpful hands to some helpful hand to this organization. So, and then we have one other lady called Josephine. So 4 of us are actually the board members and founding members of the organization. So we are all Sierra Leoneans. And then the other organization for which I am the chair is actually called Agro for Community Development. So you can see here, this is Right to Development, this is the logo, and this is Agro for Community Development. As the name suggests, it's community. We work in areas that are hard to reach communities. Both organizations are registered. This organization is actually registered with the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development. It was registered in 2021 in August. And thereafter in 2023, we also renewed the registration certificate. But in 2024, because of funding constraint, we are not able to renew the certificate. However, we registered with the Freetown City Council, of which we have an up-to-date or updated registration certificate. Now you can locate this organization, that is the local organization, at 58 4th Street. That is where we are. But now let me also take you quickly to policy, the policy angle. Now when you're talking about NGO policy in this country, international organizations are actually not allowed to implement projects. Rather they do it through an independent, what we call IP, that is implementing partner. You have to partner with a local organization. And so being that I'm part of this organization, it's actually a Sierra Leonean established organization. We've already identified this, of which I'm the board. So that is why you see here, Agro for Community Development and Empowerment, first in collaboration with what? Right to Development, Incorporated USA. Now that is what the whole thing, talking about the organization, is about. Now why are we here? Now if you look at this organization, the thematic areas, the focus areas are 1, health, 2, agriculture. There is this contemporary issue today called climate change, and then we are also looking at other community development activities like WASH, that is water and sanitation. All of those ones are actually women's empowerment. These are issues we actually tackle. Same with this organization. We've been doing quite a lot under the carpet. By that I mean we've actually not been making publicity out of it. But then we came together as board members to see how best we can also help maternal. We are looking out in the area. Last year we were looking at, we look at activities centered around communicable diseases, contagious diseases like smallpox. We all heard about monkeypox, HIV and AIDS, all of those ones. But this year our theme here really is to look at maternal and child health care. And one particular area we want to look at, focus on the end of this year and maybe subsequent years, would have to be nutrition. How can we really help lactating mothers, for them? Because don't forget, the foundation of every child really starts right from the health, whilst the mother conceives the child. So basically, that is what we want to focus on. We want to look at the nutritional aspect. How can these children grow? And then don't also forget, at the international level, what we are seeing today is almost every country is now trying to anchor on their own resources. So in that case, we are beginning to experience funding constraint. So it is high time that we begin to grow or eat what we produce. This is not only at the echelon of national level. We also have to filter that one, scale that down to even at community level. Let us begin to look at different areas. Now, in the health sector, how can these mothers look at local ingredients, local condiments, local products to be able to produce food that can benefit their children? And that is why we chose Benny Mix. Benny Mix is not something new. It has actually been here. A good number of people have testimonies, mothers, that yes, looking at that Benny Mix, which they have produced for their children, have actually helped their children quite. So as we go along, we'll definitely be engaging those mothers to explain or maybe to give testimony as to how this Benny Mix, which is one of the nutritious food locally produced, use local materials. You see them there? I mean, there is not much of what is actually imported. You talk about groundnut, it's being produced in Sierra Leone. You talk about the rice, the type of rice they are using. It's not that imported rice. It's a type of rice that is a homegrown rice. You talk about Benny itself, I don't know the English name, but in Sierra Leone I will call it Benny. Benny Mix is homegrown. You talk about the fish, quote and end of quote, they call it bonga. It's being what? Sourced here. So almost all of those things, palm oil, are being sourced here. These are nutritious, mixed with carbohydrate. In fact, I read from a literature that has to do with nutrition. They were talking about at least you need 3 food nutrients. I'm not a nutritionist, but you need 3. So at least carbohydrate is there. You talk about protein, you need to talk about vitamin or any other thing or fat. So all of those ones are there. So basically, this is a pilot phase with funds from us. When I say us here, we Sierra Leoneans. The 4 of us, Dr. Conte, who is currently in America, he actually contributed the highest, and then followed by me here with the little sources, and then we have one from Bilkisu. And then there's also another Sierra Leonean who is resident in Arizona, right? She also contributed, at least in her own little way. So gradually, that is the way. Now you see, we have to, after the process here, you have to package it, and then, so this whole project today, or program today, is in 2 phases. One is to educate or to train those mothers as to how to produce this food, and then the other would have to be testimonies. The other thing, the only thing we have to do is, we are not for now talking about measurement or standards. That is where the difference is. When you look at other products that are actually, sold in supermarkets or in other places, what you see here is they will tell you, use 2 tablespoonfuls, use this, use that, use that. We'll get to that point. But today is just a pilot to know the basics, how to do, know the condiments, know how to go through the process, and then the next stage will have to be there. And then basically, after all, if successful, we want to look at this whole thing to be an industry. An industry, that's the focus. An industry-driven venture. We have farmers who grow the type of rice, we have farmers who grow the groundnut, we have fishermen, so that Sierra Leone will be proud of once more those kind of things. That's basically why we're here.
Thank you. So what is your message out there for others
Well, that's a very good question. It's a very brilliant question. In fact, let me tell you, my experience is this. My experience is also a bit bitter, because I shared, and for your information, Right to Development is actually being hosted. This program is being hosted on a very big platform in Canada and other parts of Northern America. They call it King Ransom Foundation. King Ransom Foundation is where this particular project is hosted. So now our next move should be, we begin to disseminate that link to those people, which some of us have done. But guess what? We've shared that among many people. Nobody had responded. So my message in that direction is, let us, when you go to that site, you see that Indians, some East African countries are also hosted there. You see that, yes, they've estimated the project cost to be like 100,000. Out of that, there's one particular project, instead of 100,000, even 120,000 have been raised, But then for us here, it's hosted. You see, lactating mothers, so empowering child something, Sierra Leone. Nobody has ever shared that. So my message to Sierra Leoneans is, let us, move away or reduce this dependency on overseas. Because that's the whole thing here. Once they hear it's NGO, the European is coming to fund that. The American is coming to fund that. Other parts of the world is coming to fund that. But then when it comes to us now to really own up certain things and contribute, no. So my message here to Sierra Leone is, This is in fact, I will not say this is the initiative we just started. A lot of people have been there, they've hosted. Let us learn to give support. This is our country. How would you feel if you see a child malnourished? How would you feel if you see a pregnant mother giving birth, along the road, on the street? How would you feel as a Sierra Leonean if they say that is how Sierra Leonean children are? But we have to start somewhere. Let us, do these things, do things